was all messed up because, you know, it's like, it was all alive. I'm telling you.
Cocaine, that's
This motherfucker at Blondie's night first off, this motherfucker ain't wore makeup in
I met her shortly after, almost 2 years after my first being.
It was all a motherfucking lie. Bitch, you all a motherfucking lie.
The thing about her was I met her right down the street from where I met my first baby, like a block away from where I met my first BM from. I met my BM on 53rd. I met the second one on 54th on the same street, right in North Minneapolis, Brooklyn Center, right? Now, with her, it was interesting because I actually, you know what I'm saying, after, like I told you before, I ended up going back to Cali, and then I went to Minnesota after I went to visit my daughter in North Carolina. But then after I, you know, went to the Southern visit for a little bit, I came back to Cali because I'm like, I'm on something different right now in life. So I went back to Cal, and then I get a phone call from my cousin. And this was like a close cousin of mine. This one, like, you know, every family member, you know them differently. Maybe like, it may be a timestamp thing. Maybe since me and this relative went back since the 80s, since I was 6, 7, he was 7, 8 years old. We went back that long from, you know, so it's like my day one. Well, he had needed help with a situation. You know, he wasn't dealt the best hand in life. So he had muscular dystrophy, you know what I mean? He needed help. He was in a wheelchair, but he was everything intact, you know, everything else was intact about my peoples, man. Like, he was a good dude. He just needed some assistance. And he asked me, he was like, man, I need somebody to come down here and help me, man. You want to come back to Minnesota? I'm like, nah, I'm good, man. You know, I'm like, you know, at that time, I'm figuring out how to live back in Cali, rebuilding my stuff back again. But I told him, he's like, man, I ain't got nobody else, man, to really look out like that, man. So I was like, you know what, I'll do that. So, because the people that was helping him before, you know, supposed to be his day ones and his bros, they wasn't really too kind to him sometimes, you know. So he got tired of that, you know what I mean? And plus, cats were playing with him, thought it was sweet. So, you know, I'm young, fired up. He young too. So I said, you know what, man, I'll come out here and be your muscle. So I came back to the soda and back on the same block, same street where I met my first BM at. But the difference is she's in North Carolina. You know, she's not in Minnesota no more. So I'm out here. So I was like, okay, cool. So I had a routine. Go over there, look out for my dude, do what I got to do. Then, you know, go out on the porch, smoke a blunt, chill. I see this girl every day coming down the street, walking with like a baby, like a 2-year-old, and like a couple other kids that are maybe like 5 or 6. So like 3 of them. So then after like the second or third time seeing her, I think I ran into her at the store and we had conversation. I'm like, she like, oh, I see you at that house on the corner, da da da. I be out there on the porch and say, yeah, I be seeing you walk down the street, but I don't say nothing because I don't know, like, you got kids with you. You probably belong to somebody. I ain't got time for that. She like, nah, it's not like that. You know, actually, I'm a single mom. I'm 18. This kid, the little girl, the 2-year-old, that's my kid, and the other 2 I babysit for my sister. While she at work, I said, oh, okay, cool. So I'm like, bam, I'm like, okay, you got 1 kid, I got 1 kid. I got a daughter too. She's around the same, she's 2 years old. I said, well, you know, man, so we exchanged information, numbers and shit. Immediately we start chopping it up. Once again, immediate, you know, where they ain't trying to wait type thing in that time period. So we hook up. And then I'm like feeling her, she feeling me. I'm like, man, we got, you know, we like kind of kindred spirits because we got the same situation. You got a kid, I got a kid, boom, whatever, we can make something happen. I said, I'm back out here for a season or so. I'm helping my cousin out. But at the same time, you know, I'm trying to build. I got to get a crib, da da da. So that was like July or something, right? So she like, well, I need to get a crib too, because, you know, I stay with my sister and, you know, I need to find my own spot too. So I'm like, well, shit, man, we could get a crib together. So that's what we ended up doing, getting a crib together. But that didn't happen for like a few months because we had to stack our bread. She had to work. I had to work, stack some bread too, you know. So everything's going, everything blase is going. You know what I'm saying? I started finding out a little more things about her. Like one thing I found out about, she had a partial in her mouth. And when she took that mug out, she had a different spin off on her. So I'm like, one day I come see her and she have it out of her mouth. And I'm like, man, you got a partial? She's like, yeah, I got that. This dude I used to date, he was an older dude. We got robbed at the park and they pistol whipped me for him type thing. I'm like, whoa. Like, damn, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, man, she went through some stuff, you know what I mean? And so, at the same time, you know, I'm working, I'm doing my thing, but she don't know how to hustle. I'm not letting her know about my past life, the post-Clinton administration era, you know, the war on drug nuts. I ain't letting her know about none of that, you know? So, I'm just keeping it culture and like kind of like one pocket, trying to do things like kind of by the books, kind of right. So as we get further into our apartment search, more and more things started to come out. We go to get the crib. Her mom actually took us to do the sign to go look at do a walkthrough of one crib. Her mom I met her down there in my whip. So we get down there, about to sign we like the crib, we did a walkthrough. About to sign the lease and the first lot comes out. She's not really 18. She's more like, July. I mean, by this time it was like August going on September. I met her July. That July she just had turned 17. So I'm like, man, I'm about to be 20. I'm like, man. So she tell me straight up, oh, you know, I'm not of age. Da, da, da. I'm like, man, well, you lied about your age. She's like, yeah, but my mom, she's cool. She ain't tripping. She'll sign off on us, you know, the lease or whatever else. I'm like, man, whatever, okay. I ain't tripping. We like 2 years apart. So I'm feeling like. But it was a major upset because I'm thinking like we on an even playing field, but we're really not. So then, signed the lease, come time about to move in. And actually, it ain't no we signed the lease. She was on there as an occupant because she wasn't 18. So it was me signing the lease and her mom approving of her being on the lease as an occupant type thing, like some runaway stuff. So, we get closer to the move-in date, which was like probably like a week or so out. And we're talking over the phone one night. I'm at work. She's at home. She's like, yeah, I got some news to tell you, some bad news. I'm like, what? She like, well, I'm not going to be able to bring the baby. What? Yeah, well, my sister, she said my sister got custody of my kid because of situation with social services, whatever. I said, oh, wow. So I'm like, well, she's like, yeah, so I'm working on doing this, getting my visitations back, or not visitation, but establishing, getting full custody back of her child. I'm not knowing how the system worked at the time, fully like that, young and stuff like that. So I'm like, man, all right, so the kid's not going to be coming with us to the crib. She said, nah, she's going to stay with my sister, but I'm going to still get her every day, have her on the weekends. I said, okay, cool. I ain't tripping. So as we get about to move in, she comes out and be honest with me like, hey, I got something to tell you. I'm like, what? That's not really my kid. That's my sister's kid. Whoa. That's like another lie. Like, dang. So I'm like, man, why would you make that up? You know what I'm saying? Like, just to get close to me, to push up on me? Like, man. So I'm like, man, I'm at that point in time, I'm like, you know what? I'm good. I ain't going, man. She a professional compulsive liar. So, or maybe habitual liar. I don't know if she's a liar, though. That's what I do know. So, I'm kind of like, man, stuck. Like, man, this girl lie about everything's a lie, you know? So, one day, see what happened first. This might have happened first. One day we go to get her check from her job. For some reason, her grandma wanted to see her, so we rode with her grandma, me, her, and her grandma all rode in her grandma's vehicle to her job. So we get to her job, and she's like, "I'll just go in and get the check, whatever. You know, my grandma's can chill out in the ride." Okay, I ain't tripping. So I'm talking to her grandma's. Her grandma tell me, I'm like, "Hey, yeah, man, you know, she been through a lot. You know what I'm saying? I know her mom. She kind of like been living as a runaway type thing. You know, like when I met her, where her stepsister stayed, it was like a 8-complex unit or something like that, like 8 apartments in the building. Her mom stayed in one unit, and her play sister, which ended up being, that was another lie. That wasn't her real sister. That was a play sister. She ended up staying in the lower unit on the same side. So her mom was in the same vicinity, in the same building, but she didn't live with her mom, honestly. You know what I'm saying? Her mom wasn't around. She must have kicked her out when she was maybe like 15 or 16, right before I met her, you know? So that's why I said she's like a runaway type thing, right? So me and her grandma's talking. I'm like, yeah, she been through a lot. You know, I've been through a lot too. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we could build something and grow and da-da-da. You know, and but I hope she will never pop that tooth out on me just joking with her grandma. Her grandma was like, oh, she showed you her partial? I was like, yeah. She's like, yeah, she got that when she was a little girl on the monkey bars playing. I told her, I took her to the park that day. I said, on the monkey bars? She said, yeah. I said, oh, man. I'm thinking to myself, she told me a whole story, a whole nother story. She told me she lost it because her dude got robbed at the park. She got pistol whipped, but nah, she lost it at the park, all right. But it wasn't because she got pistol whipped. The monkey bars hit her. But I didn't tell her grandma that. I just was like, man, she's really a liar. So then, after that, I'm really on her. Because now this time, we staying together. And I shouldn't even probably took it further. After I found out the first lie, I should have just cut it off right there. You know what I mean? But, you know, young, dumb, full of cum. You know what I'm saying? You don't know. You just thinking you got it all and whatever else. But nah. So, now I'm on her. Now I'm like, now to the point to where I'm changing up my hours of operation. Like I go to work, come home at a certain time. I'm changing that up. I'm not being so punctual. So one time I come home and she's sitting in the car with in a Cadillac with some 2 other dudes and end up being her ex. Huh? I said, listen, man, I'm not with none of that clown stuff. I'm not with none of that monkey business, right? So I'm like, man, we fell out about it that night. Soon as she see me, she knew what it was, so she hopped out the car. She tried to stunt. It didn't go her way, so we got into it, went upstairs, argued a little bit, whatever. So then a few days go by. One of my homeboys come over to the crib. And he's like, man, I got to come holler at you real quick. So when he comes to the crib, he had needed a favor or something. He had needed me to maybe hold something down. It was something, man. But what it wasn't everybody's business type thing, you know? So he comes by, and I thought he was going to come in and be more discreet, do his business, whatever, outside of her view, because he really didn't know what I was dealing with her. A liar, not trustworthy person. I didn't get to the logistics of that yet, you know what I'm saying? Because I was really keeping her away from my people's, my certain cats I dealt with. I wasn't even bringing her around that just because I'm like, you're with shenanigans. I don't have time for that because the cats I'm dealing with, we ain't with none of that, you know? So this fool, not caring, comes in the door. And I ain't going to put him on blast and say who he was. I actually say what it was fully, but this. He come in the door, he throws like a 4 and a split in it on my through my living room, lands on my lazy boy chair. Now when she seen that, her eyes just wondered. And I'm like, oh man, that was like the bad move. You shouldn't have did that, man. You shouldn't have did that. Like I didn't want her to know nothing about that dirty scratch. Nothing about that. Like I didn't want her to even know nothing about that. You feel me? So I'm like, all right. So soon as he leaves, maybe a couple hours go by. She ain't say nothing. I ain't say nothing. I just kind of like kept it moving, grabbed it off the thing, put it away, out of sight, out of mind type thing. Then later on that night, she said in, I seen what your boy had, what he threw your way. You know that's my first love. What? I said, nah, that's your first love for real? She said, yeah. I said, man, I won't never deal with no female like that. I said, listen, man, you know what I'm saying? That's like a number one rule. We don't get down like that. I don't get down like that, and none of my peoples get down like that. You know what I'm saying? This is all about business. You feel me? And she was like, well, you know, just try it one time. You know, it'll make our sex life better, and this, and that. She tried turning me. So my thing is, I already knew I was already gamed up. Brothers don't know that most brothers get turned out by the female on some section shit. You know what I'm talking about? And think it's just good for, but what happens when that love goes away? What happens when she's gone and you got to deal with somebody else? Now you stuck with a hidden habit, you know? So I'm like, nah, I'm good. You know, you ain't gonna turn me like that. Like she ain't even knowing what I've been through in life. She don't even know nothing about that. So I'm like, I'm good. So that made me like, I got to end this quickest, like soon as possible. Like if I'd have knew that first, I wouldn't even have dealt with her any further than the first lie. I promise you I wouldn't have, because it's like, I'm good, because I could have been with another pterodactyl or something like that. Another Farafaucet, you know, another tune head. I could have been with somebody else. But I'm good. So I said, you know what, that makes sense to why your ex was over here. You must have been getting something from dude. And then she broke down and told me that, yeah, I was getting something from him because I don't have nobody to get it from. So now she's coming to me like, damn, I got the blood banking in Count Drexler's. So I'm like, man, this ain't gonna work. So we end up getting into it again about something. And it was something major to where it's like, you know what, I'm done. I put her out. And I planned on anyway, because when she told me what her first love was, I was good on her after that, you know? So, put her out. Now, this was like a couple weeks before Valentine's Day. And so she comes to me like, I put her out. Then like 2 weeks later, Valentine's Day pop up. She comes with, instead of like coming to like rekindle things, she comes to me with some weird stuff like, I went to a doctor today, I'm pregnant, and also I got this. And it was something like a urinary tract infection or something like that. And I'm like, what? I'm like, man, I ain't been with nobody but you. So listen, if you got something, that's because when we broke up, when I put you out my crib 2 Fridays ago, you went out and got fucked on. You know, I ain't gonna lie, you went and got busted down. And she was like, no, I didn't. I said, okay. So I tell myself this: if this happened, I mean, when me and her was together, then I would have something too. So I went to the doctor right away that day. Don't stunt. Doc swab me up. Comes back like, hey, nah, you ain't got nothing. And I explained the situation to me, like she might be promiscuous, she might be dealing with somebody else, don't want to tell you, don't know how to tell you. So now I'm playing with this in the back of my mind. Like, that's probably not my kid. I put her out, she got busted down and got pregnant that quick. So everything's up now. Now she's not staying at the crib, she's at her grandma's house, or wherever she's at. We ain't together, right? So then I'm at work, and at that time, we was in a time where Cats still use landlines, still had the voicemail pocket and all that. So I called home one day to check my voicemail because that's what I did. You know, if I was out, there's some people that call my landline, leave a voicemail, I call, check later type thing. So I call and check my voicemail. She answers my phone, right? And she answers my phone, and I'm like, how'd you get in my apartment? She like, oh, my grandma let me in. I mean, I gave my grandma an extra key to the apartment. What? Yeah, I gave her an extra key. When we got together and moved in this crib, I had a spare key made, and I gave my grandma an extra copy. So I said, so you're in my crib, okay? What could you possibly be doing in there? Well, I'm moving the furniture out and whatever else. I'm taking all my stuff. I said, so you wasn't gonna let me know. So you pretty much just robbing my crib. So there's nothing I could do about it because the timing of it, how it happened. And then she said this, oh yeah, the police is on the way too. And they're here looking for your stuff. Well, I had a premonition the night before. It just ain't that easy. Stuff was out of sight, out of mind. None was around. So I ain't really tripping. But I'm tripping like I got stuff that's around, like my jewelry, money, stuff in the I had a jewelry cigar box. So I said, you know what? Let me go to my crib real quick. So I pull up down to my apartment. Sure enough, she's out there with the police is out there, a pickup truck, furniture on the back of the pickup truck. I said, man, this dirty ass bride. Dirty wings, right? So then I'm like, man, I turn around, I go to my boy's crib. He stayed right down the street over the bridge, like not even that far away, like a few shakes of a lamb leg. I'm talking about like less than 5 minutes away from my crib. So I go to his crib. I'm telling him what happened. It's like, yeah, bro, you got a situation, man. That's bogus, man. But just chill. Let the police, let her leave. Let the police leave, and then just go back see what the damage is. I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. So we smoking a joint. We go on his porch, on my boy's porch, and actually it was a patio. We go on his patio, and we out there, the police on my car, by my car parked. And I said, bro, look at this. You see the police parked by my car right behind my vehicle. So they're waiting for me to go to my vehicle and they can heal me up and then some other weird stuff. So I'm like, bro, don't leave right now, man. Because if you leave right now, 9 times out of 10, they're there sitting there for you. And I was like, yeah, you're right. So I waited. The guy ended up leaving. Then I hopped in my car and pulled off. Went to my crib. Money, went, see my cigar box, opened that up, jewelry gone, 2 rings was gone. Everything I wasn't wearing was gone. So that day, I had my chain on, I had 1 pinky ring on, and in my watch, I had a one hitter. My boy maybe that was cold, alien face, my initials on there, and then I had some petty cash. That was missing. So I had 2 rings, petty cash, little 1 hitter, little custom piece missing. So I told my boy, I'm like, damn, man, the bitch got me, whatever. So then I grabbed some. I go back to where I thought she might have been, which was her place, sister's house, which was down the street from my people's crib. Sure enough, the truck's out there. She's moving some stuff out, whatever. She's going in outside the crib. So she comes out and sees me. She's like, oh, that's him right there, woo woo. So the dudes that was helping her trying to push up on my ride. So I up that thing on them. Automatically, she like, call the police, call right now, call 911, he got a gun, what? So I pulled off, smashed down the street, went to my people's crib, had to get low for a minute, and then from there, the games is on, right? So now, it's a trip because I met her, 53rd it's the north side, it's considered north side, but it's Brooklyn Center, so it's like a suburb, but it's really not because it's extension of the north side. So I met her over there in that area, in that region, right? When it came down to it, when we fell out, she ran all the way out to a place called St. Michael. And it's Wright County, but I call it AKA White County, man, because there's not no brothers and no sisters out there. There's no culture out there. So it's not even the same as dealing with people in the city, you know. So now she's out there. I'm at where I'm at too, kept the crib and everything else. So she's telling me like, you know, I messed up. I shouldn't have did that. I don't want to be at my grandma's house. Me coming back here, because I guess when she was younger, she used to stay with her grandma. So she's like, me coming back here, I figured out my grandma ain't the person I thought she was. I'm like, what you mean? She's like, I found some cassette tapes, and I went to play them, and they were me on the tapes, like talking about her. And like her phone called and said, what's up with that? She was like, well, my grandma got one of them old school voicemails that takes the tape. And if you pick up the phone, you can set it to where it automatically starts recording. So when her grandma would leave to work, she would put the phone in her room. They had the voicemail recorder on there. And then when her granddaughter would make a phone call, or somebody would call to the house, it automatically start recording. So that's how her grandma always kept one up on her. She never knew that until she went back to stay with her when me and her fell out when she got a little older. And so I'm like, whoa, that's heavy. Your grandma, that's crazy. She's like a stalker. She's just like, that's beyond a creeper. She's like a stalker. So she was like, yeah, so I really don't want to be here. But I know I messed up. I can't come back there. I'm like, yeah, because it's too much. It's like all these different lies. It's all these different stuff I didn't know about you. I'm good on all that, right? And then I don't even know if that's my kid. And she's like, nah, it's your kid. I'm like, and then my stuff came up missing. How are we going to deal with that? Then she played it off as like the people that was helping her move, the dudes that was out there helping her and a couple other people might have took my stuff. So she wouldn't confess to it. So I'm like, nah, you took my stuff because you know right where to go to. Like I feel like this. If you're in a situation and you give somebody the rite of passage or right away, you the one to blame for that. So the minute she let somebody into our crib, whatever came up missing, that was on her. I can't blame them. I have to blame her because she's the one that let them through the door. So I'm like, yeah, I can't let that go. You know what I'm saying? And whatever. So um, we're still talking a little bit, but we're not getting along because I'm not feeling like it's my kid. And then maybe like around, you see, this was like around Valentine's Day. So then around, let's fast forward around like June or July or something like that. She calls me up like, hey, I'm about to start doing Lamon's class. No, first, before she called me up and said she's going to start doing Lamon's class, me and her was still going through situations to where she was like, 1 minute, I birthed the child. Next minute, I'm still pregnant and everything else. So one day, I got tired of her playing them games. I'm like, look, if you're not pregnant no more, right now, it should be like 6 months. You're going to be big as a house. I'm going to ride out to your grandma's house, and I ain't never go to St. Michael before. Just when I go out there, go to the door, blinds, whatever, window, pull them up. Let me see you ain't got no stomach, whatever, and I'm gonna just keep them moving in life. I don't want to play them mind games and them big old games. Because at that time, there was a movie drop that was called Big O, and that's kind of what my situation reminded me of. Was the storyline of dude and the girl and her. She was playing mind games with them, stuff like that. So I'm like, hey, just let's do this, and I'll keep it moving. So she was like, all right, yeah, come out here. So I get out there. She didn't want to come to the door. Then finally I got her to come to the door. Man, she pulled the blinds up. That girl was big as a house. Man, she was like a mansion. I'm like, oh yeah, you full blown pregnant. So then I pushed back to the crib. I'm like, look, I don't know what we're going to do. We're going to have to find, like, I don't know what we're going to do because I can't say you telling the truth on anything, And so then the next month later, that's when it was June, because I was like around May or so. So then like June, June, July. So this was July actually. So that was June, and then in July, that's when the Lamaze thing came. She's like, hey, I got a Lamaze class. It's down in the city by where you're at, which was at a hospital called North Memorial. That's on the north side of Minneapolis. So at that time, I stayed in the 30s, and I'm like, yeah, well, it's down the street from the crib. I could probably meet up with you. I'll get off work early that day, and then we could meet up. So that's what I did. Got off work early, met up with her. after she got out the Lamaze class. Actually, took her to go get some food to go back to my crib, rolling a blunt. She like, man, you gonna change your life? I'm like, yeah, eventually. I mean, like right now I'm good. I'm not doing nothing to hurt nobody, you know? And then she kind of threw a fit. She threw a frenzy over me smoking, like smoking trees, not doing no drugs, smoking a blunt. And I said, well, listen, man, this is my second kid, you know? I blew with my first kid. The second kid I'm blowing, like, I mean, it's not harmful to them. I'm not doing it around them or nothing like that. So she got in her feelings, got upset because she was a very controlling person. She was like, take me back home. I'm done dealing with you. What? All right, cool. So I take her back to her crib, right? So then me and her are going kind of back and forth the whole 30 minutes there to St. Michael. Then I kind of, for an instant, almost felt bad, like she pregnant, she going through some stuff, body changing. So the next day, I go up to her job to bring her some roses, some flowers, literally the next day, which was like, ended up being like a Saturday or something. She was like, I walk into her job, and she worked at at the time at a grocery store. And her grandma worked at the same grocery store she worked at. So I walk in, she ain't even working that day, I guess. So her grandma sees me and says, call the police right now. He ain't supposed to be in here. I'm like, dang, what? So I see her friend, and I knew her grandma didn't like me at all, didn't care for me one bit. So I see her friend that I knew she worked with. I said, hey, get this to such and such, and this tell her it's from this person. She's like, all right, cool, I got you. And I left up out of the store, just in that order. By the time I got to the freeway, police pulled me over, talking about, you fit the description of a robbery suspect. Store just got robbed. You fit the description of robbery suspect. I'm like, man, that can't be. I'm not even coming from where you saying that story is. I'm not coming from that direction. I'm getting on the freeway, and like, that just don't sound right, you know? So while dude got me detained, he comes back about a couple minutes later into detaining me and says, hey, you got a restraining order that needs to be served to you. And it told me it's from my end up being baby mom, but at that time I didn't know she was gonna be my baby mom. I didn't know it was my kid. So I'm like, what? She got a restraining order? I just was with her the day before. He said, well, she got an emergency order, and since I'm in contact with you right now, I'm gonna just serve it to you, and then you got to go to court on this day if you want to fight it, contest it, or whatever. So I'm like, all right. So I'm tripping like, dang, she got a restraining order on me? What? So now the thing is what I left out. Is right before the Lamaze class, me and her got into it. The day of the Lamaze class, me and her got into it. No, the week before that, we and her got into it. And she said, I got your jewelry, and I'm gonna give it to my new dude, and I'm gonna put his name on the birth certificate. And you know, me being young, fell for the okie doke, stepped out of my body and threatened the girl. I'm gonna do this, and that. And they got me on terrorist. Well, she recorded my phone conversation from how her grandma used to record her. But at that day, I didn't know it. I'm just in my feelings. She's talking mess to me. I'm talking mess to her. Shit gets thrown around. I pass some threats off to her. I didn't know she went to the police until after I got served a restraining order. So when I go to the court for the restraining order hearing, they gave her the order for the restraining order. They gave it to her. And then they said, yeah, you got a court date for terrorist threats coming up. I said, what? They said, yeah, well, you get with a lawyer, and the lawyer tell you what it's all about. So I got with the lawyer. The lawyer told me what it was all about, right? So I get with the lawyer, and the lawyer's like, yeah, man, I'm like sitting in court because I'm like talking to the lawyer, when I did get them, I'm like, man, it's just a joke, man. How the fuck they got me on terroristic threats? This is right after 9/11, so it's some new stuff that's going on. Like terrorist threats didn't really exist before 9/11. And he's like, man, it really ain't a laughing matter because she got you on audio. That's when it got real. What you mean she got me on audio? Yeah, well, she got you, somehow, some way, they got recording, tape recording. And they're going to give it to us because they have to give us the evidence. And I'll play for you. I'll call you and we'll have a meeting and I'll let you listen to how the audio, I'll let you listen to what they have. So he did. He kept his word. He got the evidence from him. Called me to his office, met up. And that's where it got real at. And the conversation, it went how I said. I got your jewelry. I'm giving it to my new dude. He's going to claim your kid. And that's when I said, I'll do something to you, right? And whatever else. And then she started laughing. And then I started cussing her out some more. And then that was it. Conversation ended. But it's the fact that I threatened her to commit bodily harm, right? I said, I'll kill you. And I'll blow your grandma's house up. I ain't going to stunt. Right? So, from there, that's what got, even though I wasn't going to do it, because I wasn't going to, I was working that day. I was way on the other side of town, like 50 miles away. It's the fact that I said it, in the heat of the moment. So, you got to be thinking about what you say when you say it sometimes, you know what I mean? Because words are measured. So, I learned that lesson from that. Because other than that, they wouldn't be able to get me on nothing. Even though it was a set move, and how she played me, recorded provoked it, recorded me, it's the fact that I said that. So now I'm in court. Now I'm going through the whole court process. I had a good lawyer. He said, you know what, man? He said, you're working. You wasn't even around. You didn't push up on her. You didn't get physical with her. You didn't pull up on their house or none of that. I don't think you was going to do anything. What you got to do is show the court that. So what you're going to have to do is, we're going to have to fight it for however long as possible. So we fought it for like 10 months. And that 10 months was showing the court like I don't have no contact with her. I'm not causing no smoke with her. I'm minding my own business. I'm staying working, active. I'm doing what I got to do. You know what I mean? Because I had stuff at my own crib, job. I had things going on, like 3 whips. I was on something else at that time. So he was like, we got to show the court set so you can build a rapport with them. And then hopefully we could get that charge knocked down. So I did that for 10 months. Come back with this. They amended it from a felony to a misdemeanor. And that really helped me out a lot because at that time I had a trade. I was working on my trade. And the trade that I had, you really don't want no felony because then it just cuts you out of all your money right there. You know what I mean? The companies ain't going to want to deal with you. So I got that knocked down to a misdemeanor and kept my job during the whole time. I had to do like 30 days on work release. So I did 30 days of that. So during my 30 days on work release, I'm going back and forth because I got to go every day when I get off of work for 30 days. I had to go report back to the jail. Even though I had my crib, I had to go report to the jail for the night. And then I could go to work from there in the morning. So I did that for 30 days, 30 days, right? So in the midst of that, old girl stayed in between the highway I took to get to the jail and me going to work, me coming and going. So one day she's like, hey, you want to see your daughter? Come by. Now, we went through the restraining order of protection, all that stuff, the time. I'm doing the time right now. We're still dealing with each other, but ain't really supposed to be dealing with each other like that, right? This is the power that woman has. Like, Rod, when I was in jail for a couple of days, she brought my daughter down there to see me, and that wasn't a violation of order of protection, or restraining order, or nothing. So, she's like, yeah, if you need to do your laundry, you can stop at my apartment and do your laundry. So that's what I did. So I'm doing my laundry one day, and I'm like, hey, you got some quarters? She like, yeah. Go on your baby's piggy bank and just grab the quarters out. Just put the quarters back in when you When you figure out how many you took out, like, cool, ain't no problem. So I go to take the quarters out, and I hear it seems to be precious metal in there. As soon as she heard that noise, that sound, she's like, nah, get out her piggy bank. I said, nah, it's too late because I heard something in there. But it ended up being my rings. So I emptied out the piggy bank, and both of my rings was in there. And I'm like, why? I mean, you blatantly lied. I knew you said you had my shit, said you didn't have it, said you had it, said you was going to give it to your new dude. But in all of this, saying this and that, I never seen my stuff after that day that you moved out. And she was like, well, I was going to get a chain made for your baby. Well, listen, if I'm wearing gold already, you think I ain't going to get no gold for my baby? Let me deal with that, but you ain't got to take from me for her to have it. That's the wrong way to go about getting it. So I got my rings through them with my fingers and shit, because I was away from them for like a year. That's how long I was out of possession of my stuff. So from there, I'm like, man, I know what her mom is, you know what I'm saying? She ain't no good. So from there, a few months later, she starts hanging with this other dude. By the time my daughter was, I want to say, 13 months old, she was already pregnant with another kid by another dude. The thing about this dude in this situation was crazy because, like, with my daughter, she was like real big. I told you she was big as a house, as a mansion. But then with this other pregnancy, she had lost weight actually. She was slim. But I seen the dude one time. She was with him when I came to get my daughter. She was with dude. I ain't gonna say his name to protect the guilty and shit, you know what I mean? But he was from St. Pitiful, like St. Paul and shit. That's part of the Twin Cities, So me being an honorary Minneapolis North Side representative, South Side representative, it was kind of like different. I'm like, damn, why you dealing with like the ops, what they would say nowadays type thing, Whatever, it was a weird situation. I seen him one time or two times. Like second or third time I seen him because I was dropping my daughter off to her. He was in the car. I said something to do. He wouldn't get out the car like a punk. So I always deemed him to be a buster, But then come to find out, she pregnant by a dude. So now she's like, got to protect him type thing. So I ain't tripping. Like, you can have the wench. Actually, when I ended it with her, final thing with her was like, I told her one day, I said, you know what? You're better. Like, I'm good on you. Like, I ain't the person for you type thing. So go do you. I took the bait for that one. Like I was really so good on her that I took the fall for me and her not working out. But really, in all, it wasn't that. It was her. I just took the rap of like, yes, on me. I ain't no good for you and that. But nah, I was better than her, and she knew that too, because I had how I did it, and she ended up telling me later on. So we're gonna get to that too, though. So, when I ran into her and him one day, when I was bringing my daughter to get her, get her to her mom, I brought her to where her grandma was at. Actually, you know what I'm saying? So, my daughter's grandma, not my baby mom's grandma, my daughter's grandma. Let's clarify that because that would be my daughter's great, grandmother. So it would be my daughter's mom's house. So I brought her over there, and dude was over there in the car and shit. And on the way out, I said something to him, but he wouldn't get out the car like a buster and a punk. So she come out the car, she come out the crib, and she say something like, did you say something to him? I'm like, yeah, I did. You know what it is. You know I'm fired up. You know what it is. I'm with all of it. And she's like, oh, whatever. You ain't changed. But whatever, man. I don't care. But dude ain't on nothing. So I hopped in my whip and left, right? Like, you can have her. I'm good. She bad news, So this was a straw. Not broke the camel's back. Forget it, man. This was the cardboard that broke the silverback's back. Man, I come home one day from work and I get a denial slip from Walmart for a credit card. I come home and I get a denial slip from Walmart for a credit card. Man, I ain't applied for no Walmart credit card. Stop playing. So me being me, I called a number on the bank to see why I was denied for a card I ain't even applied for. I got somebody. They said, "Yeah, you applied for a card out of Buffalo, Minnesota." What? Nah, I ain't do that. I don't even hang out there. That's where Farafaucet House Cocaine lived at. So I said, they said, yeah, you applied for it. It was for instant credit line. And then if you would have got approved, you would have been able to shop right then and there in the store. So now my mind gets to working. Now it's working. And I come up with this. The second baby dad, the new dude, she went down to Walmart with him and tried to get a credit card in my name because she knew my information and was going to have this bum play like he was me. I said, no, that's cold. Now she didn't stop with just stealing my property when I put the wench out prior to that seasons ago. You know what I mean? She's going even further in there. Now she's playing games with my name. I don't even like that. So I ain't gonna stunt. I don't give a damn. I put charges on the wench for theft. So they got her for fraud. Him too, I believe, because they was trying to use my credit line and pose as each other. Man, I don't care, man. Ain't no love for none of that. Dude's a punk. He's a buster. And you was gonna let her run that dirty game on you? Man, I didn't respect that. So from there, I'm like, man, it's still war. This is, now this war started when I put her out. She stole my jewelry. I said, man, she's full of a bag of tricks. She's not letting this go. You know what I mean? She's fired up. Now, the thing about her is she's easy on the eyes. So with that comes a little bit of magic she has over most dudes. But I'm not one of them. I don't go. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, all right, she has a kid or whatever. Now she has 2 kids, 2 baby dads. You know what I mean? I got 2 baby moms and 2 kids at that time. So we like on the same playing field. So I ain't even tripping though. I ain't want the wench anyways. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't like to get down on the dirty game though. So it's still war, at that point in time. And I'm like, man, then she has a kid, whatever. Then he's a bum. He's not on nothing in life. Actually had another girl, some other kids. I think, matter of fact, if I ain't mistaken, he had the same situation. She was his second baby mama. You feel me? And the same thing, like it's just as crazy. You know what I mean? So he wasn't feeling hurt because he already had he already had a main bride, his bottom bride, in St. Paul that he was dealing with. So and he already had kids with her prior to that. So he was like not even on her like that. So she was fantasizing whatever. So then she after she had the kids, she didn't deal with him like that. He's like this bum baby dad. I'm the one that's like the weekend dad. I'm paying child support. My kids getting like $664 a month. She's winning, right? Now the thing prior to that was before I was ordered to pay child support. I was fair and balanced. I said, listen, man, I'm getting bread. I ain't like that. Come see me every 2 weeks, and I'm gonna give you like $250, right? No, $225. That's $450 a month. That's just to you. Now, any other real bride would get that. You gonna give me $225 every 2 weeks? Yeah, it's like clockwork. You know what I'm saying? Now, what you do with it is what you do with it. I don't have nothing to do with that. Matter of fact, I'm gonna give it to you on a money order because I want receipts I want documentation, and that's what I was doing with her, right? And so I did this before I even established paternity, before I went through the process of courts. That's the part I left out. But I did that before I established paternity, visitations, or any of that. Operating differently because when I seen her when she was born from the first kid, my second kid had a lot of hair. My first kid had a lot of hair. But now my second kid, what her mother was, she had even more hair plus what I am, So I knew that was my kid. Fuck with her mom saying everything else. At a certain point in time, you know what you are. You know whose yours are. So, but I wasn't mad at a paternity test because she did have funny color eyes. She did have like a whole different look that outside of me and her mom had. So, um, when it came down to it, you know what I'm saying? The dude that she dealt with, the second dude didn't do nothing, you know what I mean? So then she started dealing with this third dude. Now, he's a different type of dude. I ain't gonna stunt. Like all of now she's dealing with another dude, he's the third dude, but later on in life, he ended up being her third baby dad, right? But now with him, you know what I'm saying? She's playing a role. Everything she did with him, she's coming back and telling me. And I'm like, damn, he's a sucker. Like, for instance, when she met him, he was on nothing. And she's like, I'm gonna make him go to college and get like a trade or something. Like you have a trade. So now he was gonna get into the trade I was in, but he was like, nah, just do something else. So he chose HVAC. And at that time I was low voltage. So he did HVAC, he completed the course. Now that's decent money, that's good money. It's, you can get a house on that, you can build a life on that, you can have some money off of that, establish something. But that wasn't good enough for the Wayne. She messed around because it was close to around 9/11. After that time period, she seen something about the military giving a benefit for if you're married, they'll give you $25,000 a piece. So she made him join the military. You know. Now, the cold part about that was when me and her went to court to establish visitations. Me being a native to the West Coast, she told the judge like, can you put in the court order that he don't ever take her to Cali before she's 7 years old because I don't think he'll bring her back. And I'm like, well, that's where all my people is. That's where her family is. Let me take her out there so she gets to know her people type thing. And so her mom put that in the visitation, the court order that I couldn't. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, so put me in a trick bag with that. However, when she got married, when she got with this other dude and made him join the Marines, because that's when it ended up what she ended up doing because of the incentives, um, they ended up going to California. I didn't see her for several years, so I went from being a weekend dad to being no dad to my daughter. And so that put like an infraction on our relationship. And I'm like, that was another strike with war with her mom. So now she's with this dude. They end up going on. They're married. They're living their life, whatever. And I ain't tripping. But the thing is, the only thing I'm tripping on is I had rights to my daughter, but me only having visitations, I was really a legitimate weekend dad. So when she took her to California to live her married life, her nucleus life, I didn't see my daughter put in fraction our relationship. She had a kid with dude. Then maybe like I want to say like yes, after several years of being married to him, I ended up seeing her mom. She came out to visit in Minneapolis one time. We met up at a bar called Blondie's, and she's splurging. She's married. She got a little bit of bread. She got credit card money, cash money to play with. I'm gonna buy you your drinks. What? You gonna buy me something for the first time? Because when I last encountered you, you wasn't, you didn't have nothing to play with. You had no bread. You wasn't on nothing like that, right? So took her up on the drink, but then she tells me this. I don't I want a divorce dude, and why don't we get married and we could get the same 25,000 for being married? Because I'm gonna get that when I divorce him, and then I marry you, I'll get another 25, you get 25, that'd be 75,000. I'm like, nah, hell no, nah. You'll have me whacked. I ain't doing it. So I declined her on her offer, right? So then maybe like within a year she ended up like dissolving her whole relationship with dude. Some scandals happened on the base where they was living at in their house and whatever in El Cajon, and she ended up leaving him. coming back to Minnesota, buying a house, divorcing them, and getting that money. But the thing is I didn't take her up on that offer of all them, the shenanigans. So now she three baby dads, 3 kids, you know. My thing was, it was all a lie from the start, you know. And it's a trip because later on in life, we didn't ran across each other's paths, you know what I mean, in different settings. And it's crazy because we were young and I seen her in a different way. But when we were young, and I dealt with it before she even had a second to a third baby dad, she told me this. She said one day I was riding, I went to meet her somewhere because I had my some stuff to bring my daughter. I think I was bringing her a stroller and maybe no, actually I wasn't bringing her a stroller. I was bringing her a swing. And she said, you know what? I know she would be better off with you because you have more than I have. You're established, but if I don't have her, I don't have nothing. And that always stuck with me. You know what I mean? Because even today, let's fast forward, without her, she has really nothing. I went on to live my life, do different things in my life, but Farafaucet off cocaine, she didn't live her life how she has from day one. You know what I mean? I met her, I ran into her later on in life. I'm in the transportation, driving the cab. And I'm seeing her as now we're both adults. And I'm seeing how her get down is. I'm like, you're truly a lady of the night.
It was all a motherfucking lie. Bitch, you know I had a fucking lie. At that motherfucking club. You know I was good, bitch. I was getting money. I was getting dough. Go back to the yeah, you know, I didn't know she was Farafaucet, addicted to blow. You lied about everything, though. Lied about having a kid, lied about your whole life, ho. Even lied about having some juice. When your man got robbed, you got pistol whipped and lost your tooth. None of that shit was a fucking truth.